Welcome to the fourth of our supporters Q&As during this lockdown period. And today, it's a Warriors Women's special. I'm Lydia Thompson, and I'm joined by our Director of Rugby, Yapp, our lead coach, Sian Moore, and our captain, Lyndsay O'Donnell. And a huge thank you to those who have sent in questions. These people include Bruce Perkins, Mandy Ellis, Lindsay Clayton, Magdalena, Izzy, Ruby May, and Bella. So thank you very much. We're going to kick off with our first question, which is a topical one. During lockdown, we've seen a number of good news stories from some of the girls who have been working on the front line. Firstly, Jo, how proud are you of the sacrifices that these players have made? And Lindsay, how much of a challenge has it been for you personally, balancing your training with your work in the NHS?
As a club, we're exceptionally proud of the girls. We've got so many players that have been working on the front line, obviously including OD herself as captain, and we've had people like Alicia, just sort of newly qualified out there working. We've had Sarah Nicholas in the police force, and Katie Jenkins, and lots more out there helping and supporting. So we're really proud of them.
I think initially for me, trying to balance training and work was quite difficult. Just with the extra things that were going on work, like the extra stresses of dealing with COVID and the extra precautions we were taking. So initially it was quite difficult, but then with the support of the coaches like Jo and Shan and S&C coach Ethan, they've made it really manageable. And actually, if I can't train because I'm exhausted from being at work, then that's okay. We just kind of plan around that. So yeah, but we're getting there.
Oh, well, we're really proud of you, Lindsay. So thank you. Kind of similar, I feel like you've answered it, but the second question is, and while we are on lockdown, how have we found training on our own in the past 3 months? How have you found it, Lindsay?
I think sometimes it's difficult to get the motivation to go out and train yourself. So obviously when we're training at Sixways, if you're maybe having a bad day at work or whatever, you then go to the club, you're there with all the girls, and the energy that we all create kind of lifts you, and then you find it really easy and motivated to train. I think across the squad, everyone's been managing it differently. So kind of the girls who maybe aren't working or are furloughed at the moment are quite enjoying that they've got that time kind of to train fully, but then the girls that are kind of working full time are maybe struggling to balance it a bit more, but kind of working all together, we're all understanding that everyone's got different commitments and that everyone deals with kind of this kind of coronavirus and things differently, and everyone's quite good at understanding that we're all managing it differently.
Absolutely. It's been fantastic. So we've been sharing a lot of what we've been training with each other. I know at the start of lockdown and during it, you've been setting us challenges, Sian and Jo, and that was really nice to see players develop and push their skills. So I feel like I'm really proud of how the team has approached the training period, and not to say they haven't had hard days, but it's been nice to be pushed by the players around you, even though we can't be close to each other.
I think that's a thing. Sorry, I'll just jump in there. It's a massive thing for us in terms of coaches. It's been a challenge to try and challenge players. So, the tennis balls have come out and people can do things individually. So it's really probably pushed us to think of skill sets that we can probably send out to the girls to do. But I think it's probably an opportunity to develop certain areas that the girls probably don't get time to spend on throughout the week. So it's opened up different opportunities for us. But yeah, it's great to see all the girls improving their tennis ball skills for one, but really giving training such a big go. And it's probably kept them busy and kept a few of them quite sane over this period as well. So it's great to see the improvements that some of them have made.
I think that's the key thing, Sian, isn't it? It was trying to keep players kind of mentally engaged as much as anything as well, because it's such a difficult time. So trying to do things that would pull players together. So like Lydia, yourself, you've been running Sunday morning yoga sessions, haven't you? Yoga and coffee, and the girls have been signing into that. So things like that are just really important to keep girls together and engaged, and know they've got a support network.
100%. I think it's definitely made me realise how important a rugby club is for that, and how much support you can get from your club. And I think that really links nicely into our third question, which is how challenging has lockdown been mentally during this period, and what have you done to stay in touch and support each other? And I feel like you captured that. Would anyone like to add onto that?
I think the constant, like we said, with you guys doing the yoga and you guys setting up small social groups and keeping the skills sessions going, and Ethan with the S&C programs, and it's just giving people a real purpose each week. So those that haven't got anything, every day they get up and they've got a real purpose, which I think has been really important, and just sort of kind of making sure that we're all kind of there for each other, so players know that they can get in touch with staff and each other to look after one another.
I think it's really easy, or it has been easy at this time, to focus on the things that we can't do. So like not being able to train with other people and not being able to do the things that you would normally do. And kind of I had a moment myself a couple of weeks ago where I was like, well, I just need to focus on what I can do, because actually this is a really good opportunity to progress in things to do with rugby, but also like your other life aspirations. So we've actually nicely had a little bit of time to kind of focus on ourselves, which I think is really important that we've been able to do that.
Oh, totally. I definitely agree with that. I'm now a proud owner of a vegetable patch. So I never usually am able to keep veg alive for this long, but because I've been around, they're thriving.
I'm loving that, Liz.
That's good.
Moving on. Looking back at the last season now, first question. How disappointed were you that we were unable to complete the season, given the improved performances that we were putting in just before lockdown happened? Jo, would you like to?
Yeah, I think, collectively as a group, we were really disappointed because we'd had a good run of games over the Christmas period and we'd had a good training block. But ultimately, the main thing was about keeping players safe, and it was obviously the right thing to do, keeping the players safe, their families safe, and obviously the wider community. So although it was difficult to finish early, we knew it was the right decision for everyone.
Yeah, absolutely.
What Jo said there, but obviously it has to be what's safest for everyone, and we did show that progression, and I think it would have been nice to see what we could have done with the rest of the season, but now we're in a really good position where we can actually start to focus on next season and start our next season off wherever that may be with a bang.
Okay, so looking ahead to next season, it's fantastic news that Warriors women have kept our place in the Premiership 15s. How confident are you that we will not have to reapply for our place in 3 years' time? So looking ahead there, Jo, how are you feeling about that?
Yeah, obviously it's great news that we're still there, which is brilliant because everyone's put in so much hard work. Firstly, in 3 years' time, we're really confident because the actual where we've invested the money is trying to create like a program that's sustainable. So there's sort of money gone into the support staff to ensure that we're supporting players properly. So we've got great facilities at the club. We've got the backing of everybody. So yeah, I'm really confident we'll be in a good place in 3 years' time.
Absolutely. I'm excited, and I think that sustainable approach is really important. We want the future generations of women's rugby players to aspire to play at Worcester Warriors Women for the foreseeable future, so that's exciting. Second question. We have two new sides entering the competition next season. That's Exeter and Sale. How do you think they will get on with the backing of the Premiership clubs? Jo, how do you feel about Exeter as you've got experience working down there at Exeter University?
Yeah, firsthand, having been down there sort of 8 years working, I'm really excited for the city because it's a massive rugby city. They really get behind and support their teams, so I think they'll do really well. There's some really good young players coming through down there, so if they can get those guys and develop them, I think they'll be in a really good position.
Brilliant. And Sian, do you want to talk about Sale?
Yeah, definitely. I'll just touch on your last question, Liz, and that's obviously the 3 year cycle. I think, women's rugby is growing month by month and probably season by season. And in 3 years' time, the progression of it will be massive. It's all about momentum, and who knows where it'll take us. But we're definitely, obviously, looking to be competitive. Like Joe said, we're looking at investing stuff to be sustainable as a club and to be successful over time. So it's massive focus for us, obviously, to be within the league in the next cycle, but obviously competitive in that league as well. Sale for me, they're quite exciting. Up north, it's great to get the investment from Sale Sharks. They've got a co-owner that is a female in Michelle Orange, so she's a driving force there with getting the female side set up. They've obviously recruited really strongly in player coach with one of your teammates, Liz, Katie Daly-McLean. So, they'll put a lot of focus on her, obviously being a 10, decision maker, playmaker, but to have a player coach role, it'll be a different feeling for her. Obviously a brand new club, and a lot of responsibility will probably be placed on her shoulders. They're building quite a nice team around her as well, and I think the biggest challenge for them will actually be able to bring their squad together and get them up to pace straight away, obviously being a new group and a new team from other teams and coming together to hit the ground running. So, they'll look to really be competitive in certain games, but it's great for the North to get such a big figure of the team.
Yeah, brilliant. I'm looking forward to travelling to play at both of those stadiums. I don't know about you, OD, but it's always nice to have a coach trip and go and play in new stadiums, new environments, and the crowds that we get, like when we've ever played in Exeter, have always been fantastic. When we played at Sandy Park in the autumns, it was an amazing crowd, really supportive, and hopefully that's the sort of like momentum that Exeter can build on. Third question. It looks like Joe has been busy strengthening the squad during the summer. What can you tell us about the new players we'll be watching next season, Joe?
Yeah, I think, we have been quite busy with recruitment, but it was important that there was just a couple of key positions we needed a little bit more depth, because the players that we had currently did like a fantastic job, and they've really gone from strength to strength. So it was just a few key players, really. One of them being sort of Katie Matheson coming back to the UK. So having worked with her before down in Exeter and through the under-20s programme, she's a great addition, works exceptionally hard off the field, and I know will help to sort of drive standards. So her and Brooke currently that we've signed as nines put us in a really strong position. Along with her is Paige is coming over, Paige Farris from Canada. You'll have played against her, will you, Liz?
Yeah, she's a great player.
Yeah, so she had a really good summer tour when she played against you guys. So her finishing and the way she's been playing, so we're really excited to have Paige come over. Having the two girls come up from Bristol, like Amelia and Flo, is great. Flo sort of joined us right at the end of last season, but unfortunately due to the lockdown didn't get to play in the TP League with us. But both of those girls, great additions for us. Amelia worked with her a little bit with her England Academy, so I know that she's excited to get back and play, and having had a sort of a difficult time with injury, so we're excited to have those guys. And clearly most recently in Jo Brown signing for us. She's got herself a job in Worcester as a physio, and she's clearly come with a lot of experience having played England, so we're excited to have her. And those are the ones we've announced. We've also got quite a few players that want to trial for us, which is fantastic. Obviously, we were hoping to get the trial period done kind of in June initially, so we kind of could have our squad put together, but that's obviously going to happen later now. But there's some really exciting players that have asked to trial with us and that we're going to be looking at as well. So I think the mix of those with the sort of players from last season will be in a good position.
Absolutely, yeah. I think it says a lot how many players have re-signed as well. Like, we have such a good team. I'm excited to be out there again with them. Continue with the momentum and bring in like assets now. Like, I'm excited to have Jo Brown out on that pitch, having played alongside her. She's a ferocious player, and I think she'll really add something to our team, which is brilliant. Fourth question, I'm going to throw this to you, Lindsay. Given the improved performances last season, can we expect Warriors women to be pushing for a top 4 place next season?
I would love to finish top 4, but I think that would be really bold of us to say that, yeah, we're going to go from, finishing 8th in the league this season to that top 4 position. I think, we'll look at each game as it comes, getting through our pre-season block to begin with, and build on, what we've done last season. And we'll always be setting our sights high, and hopefully, over the next couple of years especially, we can progress to be competing at the top of the table.
Absolutely. Sian, would you like to add to that?
Yeah, definitely. Exactly what Odie said. We'll come together as a group and really push ourselves in pre-season, probably set some goals there. But, it's a competitive league, so we'll take it game by game, set ourselves some standards to play by on field, set ourselves some standards off field as well, so make sure we're in a good position there. But taking it game by game and being competitive is what we're looking for, really.
Brilliant. Yeah, absolutely. All right, we'll move on to questions about the bigger, wider profile of women's rugby. So, first question. So much progress has been made to increase the profile of women's sport, not just rugby in recent years. How important is it that the women's game doesn't fall behind as a result of COVID-19? Sian, would you like to go for that one?
I'd love to. It's massive, isn't it? Women's sport is growing year by year. I think, you touched on it just now in terms of last autumn's, the women's rugby team, England women's rugby team, sold out Sandy Park. We're close to like maximum capacity through Six Nations up in Doncaster as well. For us, we get I think we're averaging about 600 people coming to watch our games, which is massive for us, just for, we don't get televised a lot. So to get people to come and watch women's sport is huge. So it's getting bigger and better. Obviously, it's frustrating that it's been paused with COVID, but like we've already said, the most important thing is that people are safe. And I think probably it's given people time to probably see, to build a bit of a hunger to come back to play. Firstly, for you guys as players, I'm sure you're desperate to get a shirt on, get running around the rugby field. But it's also build up maybe an appetite for people to come and watch and support, to get outside and actually come and support local games in Worcester, hopefully. But also maybe giving other people the opportunity to, in their spare time in this period, to take up new things, especially females, whether it's exercising, because obviously we all know that's beneficial for us, whether they've got out running and getting about or want to try out rugby. And the first thing to try out rugby is probably coming to watch some rugby. So even though it's disappointing, women's sport is definitely on the way up, and we'll be back soon, so keep an eye out.
Absolutely, 100%. Joe, this is a question for you. Tyrrells will no longer be sponsoring the league next season. How big a setback is that, and how confident are you that the RFU will be able to find a new sponsor in the current uncertain economic climate?
Okay, well, I'm really confident that they'll find another sponsor, because I think at the moment, what, like Sian alluded to, what lockdown has shown is kind of what a diverse and amazing group of women rugby players we have across the country. So you take all the clubs, and some of the stories that have come out from those clubs are just amazing. With individuals out there on the front line or doing charity work, kind of supporting people. It's such a diverse group, and I think any business looking at that would be really, really proud to get involved with those girls and involved in the clubs and the bigger program to support them. So yeah, I'm really confident that that we should be in a good position to get new sponsors next season.
Oh, brilliant. I totally agree. I think women's rugby has some fantastic values in it, and it's a fantastic opportunity for any sponsor to get involved with. Yeah. Right, the next question. I'm not sure if Colin or Jason wrote or sent in these, but it's regarding our owners, Colin Goldring and Jason Whittingham, and the support they have given to Warriors Women since they've arrived at Sixways. The first question is, how important has their support been? Sian, do you want to touch on this?
I feel like they definitely slid that in through social media. Yeah, of course, I'll answer your question, Jason. Massively. I think for us, they've been with Warriors for 18 months nearly, and the improvements and just the feeling that they bring to the club is massively different. They're so active with their roles. For the women's side especially, you can see, we've gone from one full-time member of staff to now 6. Obviously, they've brought in Yapp, DOR, which is great for us. So, they're massively supportive in the people that they're bringing on board, but actually the investment of, to have coaches that are there part-time to now being full-time, it's just massively changed what we can probably deliver as a coaching team. And then obviously, hopefully you guys have felt the benefit of that as well. They're always quite active, like match day as well. So they'll always drop us a text, find out the result and congratulate and things like that. You'll just see them wandering about the stadium as well. They're really present. I think they're 2 of the youngest owners of a rugby team in the Prem as well. So I did see them once. I don't know if they'll know this, but I saw them once playing on the actual main pitch, and they're just there like throwing a rugby ball around like midday, just nobody around, and they're just running around in their suits and stuff. So yeah, they're pretty active, but yeah, their support is massively appreciated from the women's side, and we look forward to getting them down to watch one of our games, but they can stay on the sideline. They don't need to throw the ball around.
They're welcome to come for trials if they want. Lindsay, from a playing perspective, could you mirror that sort of vibe?
Yeah, definitely. I think that kind of the decisions that they've made, especially in terms of having that full-time coaching staff, is brilliant, and they've opened up access to more areas of the stadium for us to use. So we've got a bit better access to the gym and some of the recovery equipment. So that is really beneficial, that just gives us more time and space and equipment to develop. And they're also so approachable and easy to talk to. I know, Lydia, we've caught them on game day before, down watching the men's game, and you can just sit and have a chat with them, try and get us some more things, more endorsement from them and a bit more support, don't we? But yeah, they're really approachable and receptive to any suggestions that we have to help improve us, and it's just great that they're there listening, and we're in their vision for what their vision for the club is.
Absolutely, that links us nicely into the second question. How important are Warriors women in the owner's vision for the club and its role in the city and wider community? Jo, do you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, just on that, what the girls said, they're very genuine in how much they want to support the women, and it's very much part of their bigger vision for the club, and you can tell that when you speak to them. The plan for us to have double headers with the men, they've proven that, built extra changing rooms so that can happen, and then obviously keep the crowds there for longer, and for us to generate our own support, so when we have standalone fixtures, hopefully people then will want to come back and watch us play live when we're at home. So there's lots in there that they kind of genuinely want to push the women, and just that sort of wider community part where we want to get out there and we want to inspire youngsters to play rugby and to come along and support, and at the end of the day, you girls are all role models, so it's great for them to have you as role models. And last year, unfortunately, because of COVID, we couldn't do it, but we had girls going out kind of every weekend to festivals. They'd signed up to go along to support the girls at the festivals, to try and get them to go out there and be role models and encourage them to come and watch our games. So there's lots going on with that, and the community department are really sort of driving the women's program as well, with the sort of girls only camps, and so yeah, there's loads of great stuff being done in terms of sort of driving the women's rugby as well as the men.
Absolutely, there's a real buzz for the women's game, which is fantastic. And I think, from my personal experience, I didn't realise women could play rugby because I just didn't see it. Obviously, you watch the 2013 World Cup final, you see Johnny do that amazing drop goal, but it wasn't a woman, so I didn't know that that's something that I could aspire to be. And I think the fact that now we're seeing so many talented young girls with a kicking game, a passing game, an understanding of rugby coming through the grassroots section, and hopefully we can provide them a club that they can aspire to play for, is brilliant. There's a few questions for me now. So the first question is, what is my favourite international try? Well, I actually interpreted this as what is my favourite international try that I've seen, and I would have to say that was the women's 2014 World Cup final. I think if you want to see a try that captures so much heart and passion, is the one that Danielle Waterman scored in the corner, but it had gone through almost every single player's hands to get there. I was really lucky to train with the squad and go out to that World Cup, but didn't quite make the final. But just knew how much it meant to those players. Like, one of my favourite players, Kat Merchant, retired after that game due to concussions. So you knew that winning that gold medal meant so much, and there was that absolute fight for the whole 80 minutes. And I think that try really captures that drive. I think Rochelle Clark, Rocky Clark, even stepped in at scrum half at one point. I think Natasha Hunt, the actual scrum half, was there, but it was just that want to play, and I think that definitely kept me going. I wanted to be part of that. I wanted to be part of a group of women that had that much drive. I had an amazing experience training with them and getting to know them, and I definitely think inspired me to really set my heart on playing in another World Cup. And then the second question is, who is the most difficult international opponent and why? Again, a challenging question. I think Shani mentioned it, France are a phenomenal team to play against, really pushing us as players in England shirts. And I'd say that for every country coming against. I don't know how you find it, Jo, but as soon as you put an England shirt on, the opposition just turn the screw, because everyone wants to beat England, and I get it. We always play challenging games, that's awesome. But I would have to say it has to be New Zealand, the Black Ferns. Having played them quite a few times, it's always a battle. It's always a game of chess. You're coming against some of the best players in the world. They've not just got one or two players, their whole team is phenomenal. And they play great quality rugby back home in New Zealand. So they're, and they've been playing for years, and their family are all rugby. And it's just I went over there to New Zealand and really loved that culture, loved how they embrace the game and bring everyone together on match day. And so to play against them, you're coming against a really fierce opposition. So it's always nice when you do beat them. And then I didn't know if someone meant international opponent, team, or a player. So I'd also say that has to be Portia Woodman. I feel like every time I see her name on the team sheet, there's a part of me that's happy, because I want to be challenged. I want to play against the best, but there's also fear, because I just know how good she is. She's a fantastic all-round player in 15s and 7s, and a great person. So yeah, it would have to be Portia Woodman for me. Does anyone want to throw it out there? Is there a team or a player that you've always had a bit of a challenge with?
I think personally for me, team-wise, playing England has always been really difficult, because obviously playing my club rugby at Worcester, I play with quite a lot of you England girls, so actually playing against you after playing with you for the whole season, I've always found that quite difficult and quite a challenge. Team wise, and probably player specifically wise, one player that really stands out to me, who I've always got a bit nervous playing against, is Safi, who plays for France. And I think that's probably from my first cap experience, because I was playing on the wing, and at the time she was playing 8, and she was such a physical, ball carrying, aggressive, strong 8, and that just, as a little 63 kilogram winger, I was yep, this is, yeah. So for me, that's one player that definitely stands out in my career as a difficult opponent.
Absolutely. She's incredible. Another very powerful athlete who, puts a fear in me when I play against her. So. And I'm not 63 kgs.
No, I'm not anymore either. A bit better, but no.
Lindsay, we've got a few questions for you now.
Okay.
So the first one, what was the highlight of your Scotland career?
Tough question. It's probably between two. So getting my first senior cap in 2013. So briefly mentioned against France. It was in Dijon on a Friday night. It was the last game of the Six Nations. I'd been on the bench the week before when we'd played against Wales, but didn't get on, and was really like fortunate that Donna Kennedy had bigged me up massively to the Scotland coaches, and I got my call up. And the atmosphere was incredible. I'm sure you'll agree, Lydia, that playing France away is unlike any other crowd you'll play against. They just are all for rugby. They live for the rugby, especially in Dijon. It's such a rugby playing region, and I couldn't hear the calls on the pitch because the crowd was that loud. And there's one specific moment I caught a high ball in the 22 and just got completely wiped out. Nothing I could do. I caught the ball, got tackled at the same time, and the noise of the crowd at that was just unbelievable. And I've never experienced anything since. But the other probably highlight was when we won. I won my first Six Nations game. So that was against Wales in 2017, and that was a really big moment for me personally, but also for our Scotland as a team, because we hadn't won a game in Six Nations for 7 years, and we'd done so much building and put in so much work and time and effort that getting that result was just huge, and the emotional release from that was unbelievable. And then we managed to back it up a few weeks later by beating Italy. So yeah, again, that was one of my big highlights.
Oh, that's an amazing thing to be part of. You actually put the fear in me talking about playing in France then.
I know.
Proud. And being out on the wing, you are closer to the crowd than your own team. So.
Yeah. I had no clue what the calls were. I probably didn't really know what they were anyway, but just standing on the wing, catch the ball if it comes. But yeah, that was really intense.
There's a little bit more to wing than that. I
understand that now, but as I've made my move inwards, forgotten all my winger traits.
Well, and your second question, Lindsay, is do you have any international aspirations?
Yeah, definitely. I think I've had a couple of years away from international rugby, which has been really beneficial for my self-development. So I've been back at uni, I've completed my master's degree, I've moved back to Worcester, got a new job, settled into that, and particularly over the last season, really enjoyed my club rugby and playing for Worcester, and I think that I've had more time to focus on that and developing as a player, and I think that's going to be really beneficial for putting my hand up to hopefully get that Scotland call up.
Okay. Oh, absolutely. I think, I don't know about you, Jo and Sian, but seeing players come into rugby when they've really focused on themselves and growing themselves outside of rugby and come back into international setup with a real fire and passion, they're players that make you sit up and make you take notice. And, there's a lot of players that have come into England a bit later, potentially in what you'd say in their career, maybe not played under 20s or any of that, but actually they've got something in them. They really want to put on that international shirt. So I'm excited for you there, Lindsay. And I think that's the brilliant thing about playing at Worcester is we're surrounded by coaches that can push us and challenge us and want the best for us. So I think having aspirations and a dream to play for your country and then having coaches who've been there, done that, know what it takes and know how important the support around you is we're in a really lucky position. Jo, we've got a few questions for you. Do you miss playing rugby?
Yeah, I think initially when I first sort of retired from rugby, I missed it massively. I think more so the sort of camaraderie, the off-field training with other people, that sort of coming together and sort of working hard for each other. I sort of miss that massively. But as time's gone on and I've got obviously got more and more into coaching from teaching, you sort of that starts to come back because you're part of a different type of team now rather than the sort of on-field team. You're part of a different type of team. So yeah, I don't miss it like I did when I initially finished, and obviously there's lots going on now and I'm busy with the rugby, so it's just being part of a different type of team, I think.
Absolutely.
I can touch on that. I don't know, obviously the viewers won't know this, you two are well aware that Jo actually still plays. We come together as a management squad every now and then. I'm going to tell this story because the viewers need to know this, okay? We obviously, as a management team, are gifted enough with some talented ex-internationals and ex-players, apart from our medical staff. There's no ex-players there, but that's okay. It was a fitness camp, wasn't it? And at the end of the fitness camp, we decided to have a little touch tournament. So we all got together. Do you know what? We'll put in a team, guys. We'll make it work. We're actually the reigning champions of that touch tournament, aren't we, Jo? Yes, we are. Yes, we are, Jo.
Yes, we are.
So we are looking forward to that, the next tournament, girls. So be prepared.
I'm looking forward to officiating that. Yeah.
Back-to-back games we had to go through just because
You had the tough call.
There's a lot of sabotage going on that day. I wasn't expecting to play back-to-back games. I hadn't prepped for that.
We rose above it.
Had you guys done the fitness testing and conditioning sessions before, though?
No, and our warm-up was very efficient. It was putting the boots on and walk into the pitch. So we were prepped, we were ready, but we still there. Come on.
It was the one bottle of water that got me. I
mean, the hottest day ever, and you literally took our water off us. You made us go back to back, but we still won. So next time.
That's why you're our coaches. That's all we can aspire
to be fair, I did see a different side to Sian that day because she's the most competitive human being I've ever met when she takes onto the field.
That's why it only comes out once a year now. But yeah.
Jo, we had to play alongside that.
just hungry, like Liz was just talking about, just hungry to play, you know, Jo?
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel very lucky Worcester attracts those sort of competitive players with you, Sian, and we've had Donna Kennedy. I feel like me and Lindsay have played alongside some of the most competitive players.
Playing with Donna actually is maybe more of a scary opponent than scary person to have on your team than an opponent.
Yeah. I feel like I need a top saying I survived training with Donna Kennedy. Well, another question, Sian, because you recently, not recently, a year or so ago, transitioned from playing into a coaching role. How have you found that?
Really challenging, if I'm honest. Like, to start with, like Jo said, you kind of you miss certain things about playing, but then before you know it, all of a sudden you get you're on that coaching management, and actually you look at the game very differently. You look at training very differently. Game day for me was probably like one of the best days as a player because you get to go out there and express yourself. But it's actually the flip in reverse as a coach. Like, training days are probably where you get to express yourself and coach, and that's the majority of where you really grow and develop as yourself, but with the squad as well. And then when it comes to match days, your role is really different as a coach. You're out of control of it completely, and it's a chance for the girls to go out there and express themselves. So at first it made me a little bit antsy. I went through a lot of chewing gum on game days, but now I think I'm a little bit more comfortable now on game days, and I feel a lot more calmer, if I'm honest. So hopefully over the next couple of seasons, growing into the coaching role, I'm living my time challenging myself, coming up with different drills, and obviously you girls are so engaged and passionate about things, so it makes it easier when you're delivering to girls that are so driven with rugby, and it makes it much easier to have people to learn from, obviously Yappy around and support like that. So enjoying my coaching time.
Well, we're very lucky to have you, and now I'm glad I know who took all the caffeine gum. So.
Yes.
Wondered who took all that. Okay, wrapping it up. Finally, we've had a number of questions from girls who are interested in getting into rugby. That's fantastic. But who aren't sure which clubs in the North Midlands and Warwickshire areas run teams. So firstly, Sian, how do they find out which clubs and women's rugby teams that are around?
It's really simple, actually. You just go online and you can Google Find Rugby Now, or just go direct to Find Rugby Now. The RFU actually have a link on it on their site as well. So you can go onto that site, type in your postcode, and it'll come up with a list of clubs and contact numbers as well. Alternatively to that, have a look on social medias. There's so much presence now from coaches and from clubs that can obviously direct you in different positions as well. So get active with that online first, and then go and find out.
Fantastic, thank you. I'm looking forward to seeing more rugby players out there, so hope you find your club. Second question for you, Jo. Will Warriors be running any more of the girls' rugby camps that you held last season?
Yeah, the plan is to run some more next season, providing it's safe to do so. Obviously, we're in a difficult time right now, but if everything works out, then yeah, the intention is to run some more.
Fantastic. And lastly, will we be having another charity match day like the Sepsis Awareness Day that proved so popular last season?
Yeah, the plan is for the club to run another charity day. So there's a lot of sort of conversations and preparation around that at the moment. Obviously, like I say, it's difficult times right now because of we're not sure when crowds can return and things like that. But yeah, the plan is to run another day. It was hugely successful last year. People put so much work into that, and it really generated for the players as well a great atmosphere as well as supporting a really good cause. So yeah, we're definitely looking to do something similar.
Fabulous. Well, thank you so much for all of you guys, the panel, for answering the questions, and a huge thank you to the people that sent in questions for us to answer. So thank you, and I hope you've enjoyed learning a bit more about Worcester Warriors women.